Live, News 8 at 5 starts now.
A presidential visit. The Commander-in-Chief at the Coast Guard Academy.
We all salute you. A proud nation.
Saluting, smiling, and shaking hands.
Thank you, everybody. Great honor.
His first public appearance since a bombshell report that he asked former FBI Director James Comey to stop the investigation of former security advisor Michael Flynn.
Look at the way I've been treated lately. You can't let them get you down.
Tonight, Trump back in Washington. And you're looking live tonight at the White House in damage control after that Comey bombshell. A whirlwind, 24 hours, and in the middle of all that chaos in the nation's capital, Trump right here in Connecticut for his presidential visit. Glad you're with us. I'm Ann Craig.
I'm Darren Kramer. The president's Coast Guard commencement address mostly positive and on point today. No mention of this latest controversy. And while he spoke inside, protesters did line the streets outside, some of them holding signs, exchanging words with Trump's supporters, who also turned out there today, hoping for a glimpse of the commander-in-chief. We've got team coverage tonight, the protest, the speech, and that bombshell memo. News 8's Ken Pierce leads us off from inside today's ceremony.
Plenty of presidents have spoken at Coast Guard Academy graduations, but few have come to New London in the middle of such controversy. While Washington buzzes with what President Donald Trump did or didn't say, he seemed to touch on the controversy in what he did say to cadets.
And the more righteous your fight, the more opposition that you will face. I've accomplished a tremendous amount in a very short time as president.
President Trump blaming the media for treating him unfairly and turning that into a lesson for the Coast Guard cadets.
You can't let the critics and the naysayers get in the way of your dreams.
Which kind of goes with the motto of the class of 2017, the storm yields courage.
Everyone has experienced their own trials and tribulations. But the fact that we are all here today proves that we have had the courage to weather these storms.
There are lots of traditions at the Coast Guard Academy, but the most famous is when new officers are told to divest themselves of that last vestige of being cadets, their hats. And yes, we should not forget that this day is really about 195 people completing years of hard work and moving on to a career, keeping us all safe.
It's something I never really could picture happening. I always saw myself at the academy in high school, and then I never thought I would get here, so it's a big day.
And everyone has a big keepsake since the Commander-in-Chief posed for a picture with every single graduate.
It's really a real honor to have him here today. I know he's extremely busy, but it's such an honor to be able to take my oath in his presence, starting my career with him here. It's a big honor.
Now there's just one more tradition. Family puts on the new shoulder boards of fully commissioned officers. At the Coast Guard Academy in New London, I'm Kent Pierce, News 8.
Congrats to them, of course. And we brought you that full speech live on WTNH.com. You also saw it on our free News 8 app. And if you missed it, you can still see that whole thing. Head to our website right there, WTNH.com.
The presidential visit met with cheers and some sneers. Protesters marching through the streets of New London today, too, ending up in a park with Trump's supporters. News 8's Tina Detel shows us how the two groups started a conversation about free speech.
These groups have a lot of differences of opinion, but the one thing they can agree upon is their right to free speech. And today, they all exercise that right.
Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
The Unify and Resist Coalition marching through the streets of New London to McKinley Park.
I gotta go to court today.
Conservative radio talk show host Lori Hopkins Kavanaugh wanted exclusive rights to the park, which is next to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. But instead, they shared it. Those who support Trump
USA! USA!
and those protesting his policies.
We stand against his rhetoric of hate and his efforts to divide and scapegoat.
Well, the message today is simply for freedom of speech and for our civic duty as Americans to partake in government.
Both sides with strong messages and sometimes heated discussions.
You're standing up here saying horrible, vile things. Did I say something horrible and vile?
No, free speech is more important than your feelings.
Say no Trump, no KKK, no Fascist USA.
But the display of democracy was peaceful.
Ho ho! Donald Donald Trump has got to go.
There's a group of us who would prefer to have peace instead of additional military advisors being sent all over the world. You don't have to police the world.
He's the duly elected president of the United States, and I think he deserves a chance to act in the best behalf of the voters.
In the end, one arrest, and he was taken away without incident. I did speak to police, and they tell me that arrest had nothing to do with this rally or this protest. He was arrested on a warrant for a domestic incident. In New London, Tina Dittel, News 8.
Tina, thank you. And a group of protesters, not the only one out there trying to get the attention of the president. There was also a group of fishermen. They were out there on the Thames River during that presidential visit, hoping Trump will help make commercial fishing great again. You'll hear that message from them coming up tonight, right here on News 8 at 6.
The president's visit to New London brought his first public remarks since a report that he pressured the former FBI director to end an investigation into the president's former national security advisor.
And while the president did not comment about that today, he did have plenty to say about how he's being treated. News 8's Scott McDonald is following the latest tonight on this developing story for us. Scott?
And the president on the defensive today in New London, not just defending himself personally, but also his presidency as well.
Look at the way I've been treated lately, especially by the media. No politician in history has been treated worse or more unfairly.
President Trump alludes to this week's chaos at the White House.
It seems like we are learning disturbing new allegations about President Trump, not just every day, but, ladies and gentlemen, every hour.
Most recently, that bombshell allegation that the president tried to interfere with a federal investigation, reportedly asking then FBI Director James Comey to back off the investigation into his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. ABC News has confirmed Comey wrote a memo detailing a meeting he had with Trump after Flynn was fired, in which the president allegedly said of Flynn, quote, "He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go." But the White House pushing back, saying the president has never asked Mr. Comey or anyone else to end any investigation, adding that this is not a truthful or accurate portrayal of the conversation.
It is obvious there are some people out there who want to harm the president.
Other Republicans on the Hill responding to the allegations cautiously.
We should see those notes. Let's see Director Comey's notes. Let's have him testify before Congress. And based on the facts laid out by him directly and those notes, then people can make a determination.
Many Democrats not so reserved.
The president must be impeached.
And the House Oversight Committee has a hearing set for next Wednesday to investigate if the president interfered in that FBI investigation. They have asked former Director Comey to testify. In the studio tonight, Scott McDonald, News 8.
All right, Scott, thanks. We're following breaking news tonight, too. Former Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman will interview as a candidate to become FBI director. The White House says Lieberman is among 4 candidates that will meet with the president tonight. ABC News reporting that Lieberman has also talked with Attorney General Jeff Sessions about that position. The president has hinted he hopes to name a new FBI director before heading overseas on a trip on Friday. Breaking news on Wall Street, too. Bad day for the market, the worst since last September. Not a lot to clap about, really, when the closing bell rang just about an hour ago. Investors don't seem too pleased with what has been happening in Washington. The Dow Jones shed 372 points today. The tech-heavy NASDAQ took a beating, too, almost 159 down. S&P 500 down more than 43. World News Tonight with David Muir. We'll have the latest on the Comey fallout, plus who else could fill that open spot. That's tonight at 6:30, right after News 8 at 6.
Time now for the Storm Team 8 forecast. Let's get a live look outside in New Haven. So beautiful out there today. We got a taste of summer. And if you thought today was warm, wait until tomorrow.
It's just gorgeous out there right now. Senior meteorologist Fred Campani is here with that. And Fred, we broke some records today, right?
Yeah, a legitimate scorcher today. We broke one record, the record high up at Windsor Locks. 93 was the record set back in 77. It also was reached in 1974. Today, though, it made it to at least 94. Have not gotten the official report just yet, but it was 94 last hour there. And Bridgeport getting close to the record high. 84 is the record for today. It made it up to 83 degrees. degrees. It is still 81 for Bridgeport. A little bit cooler along the shoreline, as you can see. Nice and comfortable at 72 for New London and 78 for New Haven, but still 93 up in Windsor Locks, and you're 88 for Danbury and Waterbury, and 89 right now for Willimantic. Tons of sunshine out there. Getting a little more humid as the day wears on, and it is going to be a mild and muggy night for us. Check out these temperatures by 10 o'clock this evening. Still lots of 70s, some mid-70s inland. It will be cooler at the shoreline, but not particularly cool for this time of the year, that is for sure, as the temperature drops into the low to mid-60s at the shoreline to start the day tomorrow, and mid to upper 60s. This is 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Notice how there's a little bit of cloud cover, some fog, some mist possible at the shoreline early tomorrow. That should burn off or lift pretty quickly, and it will warm up very quickly. So by 9 in the morning, already above 80 degrees once you get away from the shoreline, and well into the 70s down by Long Island Sound. If you are heading out this evening, it is just spectacular out there. 9 o'clock, 70 degrees at the shoreline, still close to 80 inland. By 11 o'clock, it's in the mid-60s at the shoreline and mid-70s still inland, all under mainly clear skies. So a great evening to have dinner out on the deck or the patio tonight. Records are likely again tomorrow, record high temperatures. It'll be muggy tomorrow. I would not call it oppressive, though. We're not going to see real thick humidity around here tomorrow. Stays warm on Friday with a shower and thunderstorm threat. We'll talk more about that and this much cooler weather that's heading our way for the weekend. So if this is a little too early for you for heat and humidity, I think you'll like what we're going to get on Saturday and Sunday. I'll see you in a few minutes.
All right, Fred, thanks. Today and tomorrow, air quality not going to be great, and for a lot of people, that means some trouble breathing.
So what can you do? Storm Team 8 meteorologist Sam Cantro reports.
Heat and humidity are two things that you probably haven't heard much of the last couple of months because, frankly, it hasn't been very warm outside. But now an air quality alert has been issued across almost all of the state of Connecticut. And if you're suffering, well, the weather's partly to blame. It is truly the most wonderful time of the year. Birds chirping, beautiful flowers, and, okay, humidity starting to creep up. It's normal for this time of the year. So what's causing the poor air quality? Unfortunately, we are to blame. Running things like lawnmowers and other gas-powered machines cause the pollutants to stay right here at the surface, and that is a recipe for breathing issues.
Weather changes, they feel like for some reason they're not getting enough air into their lungs. The airway gets constricted or narrowed, they struggle a little bit, they can't breathe. Sometimes sinuses start to drip, sometimes it's their eyes. So even if it's the first time you're suffering and you want to blame the weather for this issue, doctors say it's probably not the main cause. Most people who will have this kind of symptoms do have something underlying, whether it's just seasonal allergies or it's actually asthma that has not been diagnosed. So get yourself checked out by a doctor first and foremost. Stay hydrated, stay cool, and don't spend too much time outside. If you do have air conditioning, make sure to run it on days like today. And truthfully, the best thing that you can do on hot and humid days is just take it easy, sit down, put your feet up, and just relax. I'm meteorologist Sam Cantro, News 8.
Sounds nice, right? Just relax. Make sure you have our free News 8 app. That way you can track those temperatures as you're relaxing there on your couch outside. Follow the weather. That way you'll get the latest forecast right there from your phone.
Still ahead here tonight on News 8, a New Haven teacher in trouble after a wet willy incident.
Plus, it is never too late to start exercising. But if you are older, you may want to do this instead. We'll tell you what it is.
Also, a lot of the Midwest is cleaning up after more than 24 tornadoes. We've got to look at that. Plus, we're continuing to track this beautiful summer-like weather here. That and more in a moment. In your health, you probably heard this before. It's never too late to start exercising.
It is good for your health, but what kind of exercise do you do when you're an older adult and you're out of shape? News 8's medical reporter Jocelyn Memento with details of a new study now. Jocelyn.
And Darren, we all know the benefit of exercising. It's key to staying healthy. Here's the latest from researchers looking into what's best for the 65 and older group, aerobics or weights.
Obesity, a major threat to the health of the country, but perhaps even more so to older Americans. In fact, more than 1 in 3 Americans 65 and older is obese, and that additional weight can come with real health consequences. Now, in a new study, researchers finding that the solution to the problem lies in exercise. And for those asking whether this means cardio training or weight-bearing resistance exercises, the answer is both. A team led by Veterans Affairs researchers studied 160 obese older people, assigning them to different exercise regimens. Some followed a cardio workout plan, some did resistance training, and some a combination of the two. What they found, those who combined both exercises fared the best in terms of bone strength, lean muscle mass, and overall physical function. And while there were some potential risk of exercise like joint pain and falls, the benefits were too important to ignore. The message to older Americans is clear. When it comes to exercise, even if you are obese, it's never too late to start.
So get pumping and moving, something we should all be doing. As always, do check with your doctor before you start an exercise routine. And
I love that video of that lady with the weights.
Pumping iron.
Looking good.
That's right.
Well, new at 5 tonight, Southington police are investigating what they say are inappropriate messages sent on social media by middle school students. Police won't say what those messages are, but they say the investigation involves both of the middle schools there in Southington. We called the superintendent of schools there. He wouldn't comment.
A New Haven teacher has been put on leave after a wet willy incident. You know, that's when kids lick their finger and stick it into another kid's ear to annoy them. City officials say this happened at the Wexler Grant School. They aren't releasing all the details or the teacher's name, but they say DCF is involved with this. A city spokesperson released a statement reading in part, the safety and well-being of all students is a priority at NHPS, and the district takes all allegations related to student safety seriously.
Cleanup is now underway in the central part of the country. More than 25 tornadoes have been reported there, all the way from Texas to Wisconsin. At least 100 homes destroyed. One person was killed in Oklahoma, another in Wisconsin. One tornado there just mangled a mobile home park. Officials say that deadly system hit when many people were home.
I know there was walls on top of people is how it was described to me. I would describe it as total destruction.
Now, there's no word yet tonight on the strength of those tornadoes. Officials say the number of people hurt could go up as those search efforts continue.
Storm Team 8 with our weather here, nothing like that, but we are dealing with some brush fires in Connecticut tonight. More than a half dozen towns responding to a fire on Schaghticoke Mountain in Kent. These are some pictures we got from the first responders. You see the smoke and the hills there. They're still not sure what started that fire, but they're working it tonight.
Well, today sure was a beautiful day. It's still gorgeous out there right now. Some people, you know, we debated, well, people call this hot, and it certainly was in the northern part of the state.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was midsummer heat in inland Connecticut today, and a cool breeze for most of the day at the shoreline. A slight wind shift, though, can change that. You can see how it's kind of hazy right now as we look at New Haven. We talked about that poor air quality that we have right now in Connecticut, and that continues tomorrow. Let's start with a look at the Yankees forecast for tonight. They are out in Kansas City. It was warm, it was muggy at the ballpark last night, and tonight it'll be warm but not as humid. 77 degrees, clear skies at first pitch, and 72 with clear skies. Southwesterly breeze for the game in Kansas City. Record high temperatures tomorrow are in jeopardy. We're forecasting a record-breaking day both shoreline and inland. 85, what our forecast is for Bridgeport, with a record of 84. And the record in Windsor Locks should fall, I would say, by early in the afternoon. 90, relatively low record high temperature for the date. Should get up to about 94 again tomorrow. That air quality that we've been talking about, another air quality alert is in effect. It's until 10 o'clock this evening, and then again during the day tomorrow. So if you are susceptible to high levels of ground ozone, then you'll be feeling it again tomorrow. Wide temperature range right now in Connecticut. Stonington standing out at 63 degrees, but 88 for Storrs. For Farmington, 91 right now up in West Suffield. And Morris Cove checking in at 78. Niantic right around 80 degrees. A little bit of humidity out there. Dew points are in the upper 50s to low 60s. 60s that threshold where you start to feel the mugginess. And our dew point forecast over the next couple of days, it'll be fairly high tomorrow and for the first half of Friday, but it turns much less humid late in the day on Friday and Friday night, and bone dry over the weekend. So very comfortable conditions on the way for Saturday and for Sunday. Big picture, nothing much going on. This looks like a July weather map here with a ridge of high pressure off the eastern seaboard just pumping in the heat. You can see temperatures to our south are in the low 90s. Tomorrow, another hot day, 85 at the shoreline and in the 90s inland. Can start to see that cooler weather showing up. Green Bay tomorrow, only 65 degrees. So let's go hour by hour through the next few days. 60s to start. These are the low temperatures tomorrow morning. It won't take long at all, though, to get into the 70s and 80s. Tomorrow afternoon, 94 Windsor Locks in Hartford, 92 for Willimantic. Cooler, but pretty warm at the shoreline as well. Mid-80s for Bridgeport and for New Haven. Outside chance of a passing shower or thunderstorm tomorrow night. On Friday, another very warm start in the 60s. And Friday afternoon should be warm across the board. Looks like we'll be in the low to mid 80s just about everywhere on Friday. Slight chance of a passing shower or storm sometime midday and a mid-afternoon on Friday. A better chance, though, that it will stay dry. And by Saturday morning, talk about a change, about 45 to 50 to start the day on Saturday with clear sky out there. A few clouds for us during the day on Saturday, and it looks like 60s to around 70 at the shoreline and lots of low 70s inland. So very pleasant weather, comfortable day on Saturday. A few more clouds on Sunday and just a couple of degrees cooler. Overnight tonight, temperatures are going to dip into the mid 60s, but this evening it'll likely stay well above 70 degrees inland. A quicker cool down coming at the shoreline. At the bus stop tomorrow morning, a quick warm up already into the low 70s by about 8 o'clock in the morning. And then during the afternoon, 85 at the shoreline. And as we told you, 94 inland with a southwesterly breeze. Let's check out the 8-day forecast. Slight chance of a shower or a thunderstorm for us on Friday. Overall, though, looks like a nice day. Saturday, around 70. Sunday, the upper 60s. A little unsettled at times next week. Your best bet for any rain next week looks like Thursday. Even though you see a few showers on there on Monday, there's a better chance of rain by late next work week.
All right, Fred, thank you. Just ahead tonight, right here on News 8 at 5, Hamden Police now using some new technology to help them figure out what causes car accidents. We'll show you how it works.
Also coming up at 5:30, budget cuts hitting the state colleges and universities. Will campuses have to close? We'll check it out. Coming up. Hamden police officers will now have a new way to try to figure out who's to blame for a car crash.
News 8's Stephanie Simone talked to the chief about crash data. It's a new retrieval tool.
A car crashes into a Hamden home last year. 2 people are hurt. About 7 months later, police tried to figure out how this car wound up on top of this other one. Officers say there is a tool to help them when it comes to accidents like this.
It will make our accident investigations, our accident reconstruction, more competent, right? We'll have more information available to us.
That's why Hamden Police Chief Thomas Wydra says they just got the green light to buy a crash data retrieval tool. Officers can plug it into cars and it will measure speed, find out if seatbelts were in use, and tells police what kind of turns the car made before a crash.
This is not new technology. It's been around for a while. It's surprising to me a little bit that we don't already have it.
Wydra says the device can be used on most cars made after 2010, but police can't just plug it in right after an accident. They either need a driver's permission or a court order.
We would need a search and seizure warrant, or we could search it based on probable cause, right, that there's a crime and then information is contained therein.
The Legislative Council just approved the nearly $20,000 for this. Hamden Police still have to buy it before they can start putting it to use. In Hamden, Stephanie Simone, News 8.
New at 5:30.
Budget cuts hitting the state college and university system. Will campuses have to close?
Chelsea Manning, the soldier accused of giving away classified information, now released from prison. How she's spending her first day of freedom.
Also, Fred tracking the potential for more record-breaking weather tomorrow. How hot will it get? He's got your forecast next.
Here's what's coming up tonight on News 8. Brought to you by Pilgrim Furniture City. Live, News 8 at 5:30 starts now.
Storm P8 watching some potentially record-breaking temperatures again tomorrow. Beautiful day. We'll take a live look out at New London tonight. It feels more like summer than springtime out there right now.
It's been fantastic,
Yeah.
right? We've earned this nice weather after all the rain last week.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get warmer, so will that good weather stick around for the weekend? Senior meteorologist Fred Campagna is here with that tonight. Fred?
Yeah, in a nutshell, it will. We'll talk a lot more about that later on. This huge turnaround coming less than a week after seeing the temperature get fall into the 40s and 50s during the day. And now here we are with summer-like conditions. A little bit of haze showing up in New Haven, 78 degrees with a southerly wind at 8 miles per hour. This is a place to be out on the water today down in Stratford, also in the 70s with that onshore breeze. And let's look at the temperatures right now. A big difference between the shoreline and inland locations. Close to 90 right now for Willimantic, 93 for Windsor Locks, but 70s to around 80 at the shoreline. And here's how the temperature is going to trend over the next several hours. So by late this evening, it's in the mid to upper 60s at the shoreline. And at that point, it will likely still be in the 70s inland. So it is going to be a warm night, kind of a summer-like feel for us tonight. Skies are clear with that haze out there right now, and it'll stay that way overnight. A bit of patchy mist may develop by late tonight, especially along the shoreline. Checking the temperatures here, and you can see 60 shoreline, 70s inland. That's 10 o'clock this evening. And by early tomorrow morning, low to mid 60s at the shoreline. Inland, it'll be in the mid to upper 60s. So very fast out of the gate tomorrow. And the temperature does not take long at all to get up into the 80s away from the shoreline. And they'll rise up into the 70s at the shoreline by about 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're heading out this evening, no weather concerns at all. Beautiful conditions for us. Feels like summer out there. 60s at the shoreline by 11 o'clock, but still in the 70s inland. We have the potential, the likelihood really, for some more record high temperatures tomorrow, especially inland. It is going to stay muggy, not really oppressive. Warm again on Friday, very humid to start the day. Chance of a passing shower or storm. We'll talk about that, and a pleasant weekend ahead. The humidity is going to fall so that it's very comfortable on Saturday and Sunday. I'll have the 8-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
We'll see you in a minute, Fred. Thank you. President Trump back in Washington, D.C. tonight after spending a few hours on the Connecticut shoreline earlier today at the Coast Guard commencement. Air Force One touched down a couple of hours ago at Joint Base Andrews. President Trump hopped on the Marine One and flew back to the White House. President Trump was ferried to and from Connecticut today on a smaller plane because the Groton New London Airport is too small to handle the president's customary 747. After arriving today, the president waved to everyone as he walked down the stairs. A lot of people at the airport today are supporters of the president, and they told us they wanted a front row seat for this.
That's the way I look at it, is that you have respect for the office. And the plane that he flew on and the limo he was in, past presidents have been in that same equipment. And it was the historical value of it, too, that was important.
Not many people get to see him because I wouldn't think he would come to Connecticut. It's so small, but he did.
Because I support him. And I've campaigned for him, and I just want to see America be great again.
One more note about that smaller plane the president used today. It is usually used by the vice president or the first lady. And new in our next half hour, we're going to be on the water of the Thames with some fishermen who spent the day trying to get the president's attention. Coming up tonight on News 8 at 6, you'll see their message.
New at 5 tonight, budget cuts hitting the state college and university system harder than before.
News 8's Jason Newton live for us in our New Haven newsroom tonight with those details. Jason.
These are all just proposals, but the news just keeps getting worse for the Connecticut State Colleges and University system. Nothing is final yet, but the preliminary numbers are damaging.
Already struggling with how to close a $34 million deficit, the Connecticut State College and University system took another blow with budget proposals legislators presented this week that cut their funding even more.
The proposals, go from an additional cut of $19 million to a high of $90 million in total.
While lawmakers are locked in the Capitol hammering out what the final budget details will be, President Mark Ojakian is sounding the alarm, now going as far to say that if the proposed cuts become a reality, it could result in campus closures.
We will have no choice but to examine workforce reductions, campus closures, and a significant reduction to student services, which is not what anybody wants to do.
Just last week, faculty from across the CSCU system came to protest the Board of Regents meeting over a consolidation plan that would combine backroom operations for the system. And in April, tuition increases were approved over the next 2 years. Now, those measures may not be enough.
But another $90 million means we have to take more drastic action, both in the short term and in the long term.
And again, these additional cuts are not yet final. Right now, only part of the budget proposal. Final details are still being hashed out. Live in the newsroom, Jason Newton, News 8.
Jason, thank you. Chelsea Manning, the transgender soldier convicted of giving classified government information to WikiLeaks, was released from a Kansas military prison early this morning after serving 7 years of her 35-year sentence. She posted this picture on Instagram today with the caption, quote, "First steps to freedom." Manning was known as Bradley Manning before transitioning to a woman there in prison. Manning was convicted in 2013 of 20 counts, including espionage, theft, and computer fraud. President Obama granted Manning clemency in the final days of his term in office in January.
Still ahead here tonight on News 8, the largest cockfighting bust in U.S. history. We'll tell you about the thousands of birds taken in and the other paraphernalia that was with them.
Caught on camera, an SUV slams into a local business. But it's what the driver does next that's really shocking.
New at 6.
Where is their agreement and where's their disagreement in the $5 billion red ink battle? I'm Chief Political Correspondent Mark Davis. That story coming up.